Buggy D Clown evolved into Buggy D God, but this whole time was actually Rocks D Buggy. Today you're gonna learn how our favorite bombastic clown was manipulated into eating a devil fruit just like how Monkey D. Luffy was. Shanks has a master plan not only because he's the middleman, but also because of his name, Shanks. Did you know that the mechanism of a shank is to provide direction and balance to an anchor? That sounds rather familiar, doesn't it? Now that I know you're gonna watch this video, a lot of you guys think you're subscribed to my channel, but you're not, so scroll down and hit the like and subscribe button. So where do we even start? Rocks D Buggy. A lot of my friends have been catching on to this, like Simply Kevin and even Joe 3 Skull Theories. The probability of Buggy being the son of Zebek is way higher than you think. I know this doesn't have anything with it being cool or it being good for the story. Today we're gonna look at the facts. It was said by Sengoku that the Rocks Pirates were defeated at God Valley about 38 years ago, but the defeat of Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, and Shiki wasn't the only thing that went down. Apparently Zebek himself died. Now looking at that 38-year time frame, I find it very convenient that Buggy himself was born 39 years ago.
Coincidence? I think not!
And that's just a surface level to it. Trust me, it goes way deeper than that. There's a very long running theme in the One Piece story, and it's called Sins of Father. I'd even go as far as to say that it's one of the most prevalent and significant themes in the entire story. Sins of Father is a theme where Oda takes a character painted as evil and malevolent by some, then gives them a child blamed for the actions of their parent. One example is the father Roger, where the Marines and world government hated him for being a pirate, so they hunted down and killed babies in search of his son, Ace. The Marines constantly push the agenda that children should inherit the sins of their father. Now what if I told you that Buggy and Rocks D Zebek are going to be another classic example of sins of father? I believe during the God Valley incident, Rocks D Zebek gave his own son Buggy to Gold D Roger. And can you guess what this parallels with? How Roger gave over his own son Ace to someone he could trust like Garp. And we know that Roger doesn't believe children should inherit the sins of their father because he straight up told that to Garp when he was imprisoned. Roger must have become fond of this belief after taking in Buggy despite the sins of his father, Zebek. Now that we have a time frame and a motive for Rocks D Buggy, let's talk about other clues supporting this throughout the story. One of the very few things we know about Rocks D Zebek is that this motherfucker wanted to become king of the world. And I'm gonna be real with you, the only person in One Piece I'd trust with that title is Luffy, and definitely not the celestial dragon killer Zebek. But regardless, I find it ironic how the only other time we've heard someone say they want to be king of the world is by Buggy during his time in Marineford War. Trust me, I know how Oda is, I know how he works. This is definitely not a coincidence. Now some of you might say, that's not true, Blackbeard wants to become king of the world. The funny thing is, you can't point towards a panel in the entire story of Blackbeard saying he wants to become king of the world. And I can't really prove to you he hasn't said that because he hasn't said that. But one goal Blackbeard did actually mention was becoming Pirate King during his fight with Ace. Now if you're gonna play semantics and try to make it seem like Pirate King and King of the World is the same thing, I encourage you to visit the One Piece wiki and go read about Imu-sama. That's the real king of the world. But regardless, I believe Buggy's ambition to become king of the world was inherited by his own father, Rocks D Zebek. Now there's another fun thing I noticed about Buggy, and it actually has to do with Naruto.
Really? Another theory about Naruto?
If you've ever watched Naruto Shippuden, you would know about a character named Toby. He was super goofy and childish, and a lot of people didn't take him serious most of the time. But spoiler alert, in the end game of Naruto, he turned out to be an evil antagonist that the main characters had to fight against. My point is that Rocks D Buggy reminds me a lot about Toby. A silly, childish character with a lot of potential, ending up and being pointed towards one of the antagonists in the end game of the story. One more interesting thing about Toby is that he was manipulated and basically used by another higher up antagonist named Madara. Madara was basically an evil guy from the way past, but became relevant towards the end game of Naruto. And you probably see where I'm going with this. Madara reminds me a lot of Rocks D Zebek. Now I'm not saying that Rocks D Zebek will come back alive or back to the story and Luffy will have to fight him. I'm just saying that this is an interesting parallel and similarity to the story of Naruto. And actually, who knows? What if Zebek does come back? That would not make One Piece a clone of Naruto, but it would be a fun similarity between the two stories. Now there's another clue pointing towards Rocks D Buggy, and it actually takes place during the Logtown incident. Luffy wanted to get on the stand where Roger was executed and Buggy showed up. Seeing how Luffy is the will inheritor of Goldie Roger, it would make sense that Luffy would share a lot of parallels with Goldie Roger. Now what if Oda had Buggy try to execute and kill Luffy Luffy so that it's an inversion of how Gol D. Roger killed Rocksteady Zebek. Whether Buggy knows about it or not, I still find that to be a fun clue leading towards Rocksteady Buggy. Now that we have a strong case for Rocksteady Buggy, let's talk about why Shanks is a lot less likely of being the son of Zebek. First of all, that would mean Shanks made his way into the Room of Authority while not only being a pirate and having the D initial, but also being the son of Zebek. I find that a lot less likely than Shanks being a celestial dragon. Now, I'm not saying that Shanks is gonna betray or kill Luffy. I'm just saying he might have celestial blood in him. This would explain why they said, only cause it's you, Shanks, when he met up with the Gorosei. It's only cause it's him because he has celestial blood in him. Look, even if Shanks isn't a celestial dragon, he's still always painted as like a middleman or like the balance keeper of the world. My homie on Twitter, Abirama, actually made a thread about this a while back, and that shit did numbers because it's straight fire. Please follow and check him out. But anyways, Luffy doesn't want to keep the balance, and Buggy definitely doesn't want to keep the balance. Now let me give you a beautiful scenario about Rocksteady Buggy that I noticed. We have two legendary figures of the One Piece world named Rocksteady Zebek and Gol D. Roger. Both possessed blood sons named Rocksteady Buggy and Gol D. Ace. And both also had apprentices that would go on to become Yonko named Kaido and Shanks. But most importantly, both had two men inherit their wills named Teach and Luffy. Now let's take a look at the four new emperors as of chapter 1053. Buggy, Blackbeard, Shanks, and Luffy. Blackbeard inherited Zebek's will, Luffy inherited Roger's will, Buggy was the son of Zebek, and this would yet again make Shanks the balance keeper and the middleman. The newest lineup of Yonko is easily my favorite lineup because it's just so genius. Shanks the middleman tricked the son of Zebek, Buggy, into eating the Bara Bara no Mi. So does Shanks also trick the will inheritor Luffy into eating the Hito Hito no Mi? Whether Shanks knew about it or not, I am 99.99999% sure that this was intentional by Gichiro Goda. The last thing I want to talk about today is actually Shanks coming to Wano. Now shout out to Zagrashu Chia on Reddit because they made an insane post about this topic, so they definitely deserve their flowers. Now if you're not aware of the theory of Shanks coming to Wano, allow me to explain. Sabaody Archipelago parallels Wano not only as an arc, but also as an island. The first example is both islands are separated pieces put together. Sabaody has groves and Wano has regions. The second example is both arcs focus on the supernovas. Sabaody was the beginning and now Wano's the end. And the third example is both arcs have an admiral entering the island. Sabaody had Kizaru and now Wano has Green Bull. Now let's take this a step further. The admiral entering Sabaody, Kizaru, is entirely themed on light, but what's clearly intentional is that he was stopped by his total antithesis, a pirate named Dark King Rayleigh. Now the idea of Shanks coming to Wano is that Green Bull is going to have to face his own antithesis, Shanks. Both Rayleigh and Shanks have a close relationship with Luffy, and both of them are also former Roger pirates. Oh my god, there is so much shit running through my head right now. Now another interesting clue about Shanks coming to Wano actually has to do with colors. Yes, I'm using the fucking rainbow as evidence. All of the admirals have nicknames that are a color combined with an animal. Plus all of the admirals are just generally themed with a certain color. Now if we take Green Bull and look at the opposite color of green, we get red for red hair Shanks. Admirals Kizaru and Green Bull invade an island but are stopped by their total opposites, Dark King Rayleigh and red hair Shanks, who are also former Roger pirates. And seeing how Shanks has been ready to meet Luffy for some time and definitely heard about how he beat Kaido, Shanks is probably speedrunning his way to Wano, getting ready to congratulate Luffy for becoming that great pirate. When I say that I love One Piece, I really mean it because this author is so damn smart and clever, I'm starting to think that Oda himself is Vegapunk. But regardless, Shanks is the middleman between powering up Rocksteady Buggy and the will inheritor of Roger, Monkey D. Luffy. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Buggy was also the pirate Shanks was warning the Gorosei about. If I had to pick one, Shanks definitely knows that Blackbeard inherited the will of Zebek, and he's probably warning the Gorosei just like how he warned Whitebeard. But I still wouldn't rule out Shanks gassing up his homie, Rocksteady Buggy. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I have a video to my side about what the One Piece is. It's insane. But please take care of yourselves, and of course, please have yourself a damn good one.